We're climbing to the top of Machu Picchu. Machu meaning ancient, Picchu meaning mountain. This mountain peak is called Machu Picchu, and this mountain peak is called Huayna Picchu. And between these two peaks, the Incan ruler Pachacuti built what we now call Machu Picchu on this very narrow sliver of a mountain with vertical slopes on all sides, and the Urabamba River circling 3 of the 4 sides. They built a royal retreat full of temples, palaces, amazing agricultural terracing, complete irrigation systems. We're going to see it, we're going to talk about it, but we're going to learn a lot and explore Machu Picchu, the ancient Incan royal retreat. This will give you an idea of how narrow this ridge is in parts. That's one end going straight down, and this is the other. This lower section has housing for royalty, various temples, ceremonial plaza, sundial, an observatory. We're going to go down and explore all throughout it. We're now descending right down into the complex. All right, brace yourself. You're about to see the megalithic stones. Look at that. Look at that giant granite rock, how tightly it fits. And notice the difference between that and that. The question, why? We are now right in the middle of the temple of the 3 windows. Look again at the stonework, how tightly it fits, how it's cut, and then compare it right next to it, which is good work. I'm not being critical of it, but this is different, cut different, fit different, and extremely challenging to do.
In the other side, so those temples are facing to the 3 Orion belts, like the 3, three sisters. They are more of the hours of the winter time. This look in the Orion belt from here.
I see.
Okay, but not so much more like we were talking about yesterday.
No, okay. We don't find that there is like in 4 years that we found here definitely.
Now we're seeing the backside of the Temple of the Windows. I'll get a little closer look at just how tight these fit.
The temple is right over here, and this one is the foundation. Right? Look.
What I find really interesting is that that is a very, very precise cut, but it's not exactly straight. That's what I find so fascinating. Same with this. These are not straight cuts. Look at that. Now, I cut rock. I have a diamond embedded saw, electric motors, water pouring on it at all times, or it'll overheat and seize up. And to cut a small piece of granite is really hard. You can't, they have to be exact. You can't turn the rock while you're cutting it. You can't get curved cuts. Look how tight that fits. I'm of the opinion that the megalithic stones were here. There was something significant and magnificent built here by another civilization, probably going back thousands and thousands of years. And then the Inca discovered it in its ruined state, rebuilt, built upon, and created Machu Picchu. And that's not to take anything away from the Incan Empire, the Incan people, because I don't believe there was a culture or civilization on Earth in the 14th and 15th century that could do that kind of stonework. Look at the different building styles. The megalithic, then the smaller, a combination of the two, definite clear Inca built structures on the top. Definite different eras. In my opinion, the Inca used a lot of the big rock that had tumbled down from the structures built before and incorporated them as they rebuilt. And you can see how that would make sense. The bigger rock tucked in with smaller rock to rebuild or build new structures. But at one point in time, those big rocks were like that. We're now at the Temple of the Sacred Rock. There's a lot of tourists that come to Machu Picchu, and we're in the slow season, so we're fortunately, there's fewer than normal, but there's still a lot. So you kind of have to just bear with me while we pan around the camera. There's the sacred rock right there. Okay, the sacred rock is sacred because it has the same shape as the mountains behind it. If you stand in the right place, it's the same shape.
This mountain?
The Incan ruler Pachacuti built Machu Picchu sometime between the years 1450 to about 1540. When the Spaniards came and conquered the Incas carefully concealed this spot. So the Spaniards never discovered it, and it was never destroyed. But it was lost to the knowledge of man until 1915, when an American explorer, Hiram Bingham, discovered Machu Picchu, and it was covered with centuries of jungle growth. So they've done a lot of excavating to reveal what we're seeing now. This is the Temple of the Condor. Today is day 2 at Machu Picchu, and we've arrived in the morning. The main entrance into Machu Picchu was this trail right here. You can see the steps glowing up, and then the trail all along the side of the mountain. It's called the Sun Gate. As we've discussed before, the Spanish never found Machu Picchu. When they conquered the Inca Empire, the Incas deliberately covered the trail, did not lead them to this location to preserve it and to save it. But even the knowledge of Machu Picchu was lost to the local people as the centuries passed. And it wasn't until around 1900 that some farmers in that valley down below were burning off the remains of their crop at the end of the year after they'd harvested. And the fire got away. It swept up the mountainside and it burnt the jungle that had overgrown Machu Picchu. The fire burnt for 4 to 5 days, and when it was done, the farmers came up to see, what damage had been done, and for the first time, Machu Picchu was rediscovered, at least by the locals. And some of them actually moved up and put roofs back on the houses and lived in them. And then it was around 1911 that Hiram Bingham, a Yale University professor in ancient history, was exploring for lost ruins of the Inca Empire. The locals below told him about Machu Picchu. They came up and it was rediscovered, and the world once again learned about this amazing complex of Incan ruins. Machu Picchu, from the backside, the main entrance, the Inca Trail, came from that direction. It was called the Sun Gate. That was the main entrance into Machu Picchu. They would have come down right here, and this is what they would have seen on their way into Machu Picchu. I can't imagine what it must have been like to have been Hiram Bingham and be the first to bring Machu Picchu to the light of the modern world. After discovering it, it needed to be excavated and a lot of archaeological work done. Hiram Bingham went back. He was a Yale University professor. He was able to raise funding from the National Geographic and Yale University and brought teams, and over the following decade they excavated so that you can see what we can see today. In this location here, you see that sacred rock. It's called the Sacred Rock, and it also has a carved curvature which represents the mountain behind it. And on that rock is where they mummified bodies. And upon mummification, they would then bury them in tombs all throughout these mountains. There's tombs all throughout these mountains. And they have discovered over 160 of them, but there's a lot more. So that's where they would mummify them and send them on their way. You can see the terracing, and it's large. The terraces are big, so how do they scale them? Well, they built in steps. Every so far here and there, they build in steps. And then this retaining wall would be built first, then filling it in, they would fill it in with larger rock, then smaller, and then gravel, and then sand. And then the topsoil they'd gather from the jungle around, so it's really, really rich. So the terraces were super productive agriculturally. The water would trickle through and work its way through the mountain instead of causing flooding during the rainy season. They had it down to, I will say, a science. The Incas were true scientists when it came to agriculture. They were brilliant. We've been very fortunate because usually Machu Picchu is buried in the clouds, and people come here and they try to peek through here and there and see a little bit, or wait for hours for the clouds to lift up. We've had 2 days in a row of absolutely perfect weather. Very grateful for that. I mean, look at this weather. It's about 65 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very comfortable. Yeah, we've been very, very fortunate that way. Actually, in every way. This trip, every single piece of it has gone perfectly. I wouldn't change a thing so far. I don't intend to either. Not for the next few days either. A lot of tourists come to see Machu Picchu, so it's hard to find a little time to yourself. But I've managed to find little places here and there where I could be alone just to think, gather my thoughts. And I'll tell you, there's quite a presence here. Quite a presence. Hard to explain. I'd like to, if I could, come up here alone. They don't allow it. But that would be something. And just immerse myself in the whole feeling of the place. But yeah, I don't know what words to put to the presence, but there is a presence here.